Okay, I'm going to take Jason through a 90-90 bridge. So this is actually a very hard exercise to execute well because it requires sort of micro movements of the pelvis, and we don't want to go too far into a posterior tilt, and we also don't want to be in an anterior tilt where we're overusing the low back or different muscles. So what you want to start with is feet solid on the wall. We want to find a tripod foot. So think of your big toe, that joint right behind your big toe, and then your heel on the wall. And you want to feel kind of the center point of your heel not being pulled too far out on the sides or kind of caving in. So the knees are going to be at about hip width apart. And the first thing I like to do in this position is have the person go ahead and take an inhale through their nose, and then on the exhale, draw the ribs back down towards the floor. So go ahead and do that, Jason. See how his ribs came down in that position. So I want to coach him to keep those ribs relatively down as he starts to inhale. So the pressure does not come all out the belly, but has to push into the back and down into the pelvic floor. So we sort of want no pressure leaking here and more pressure pushing down and back. So to get started with this exercise, we're going to do a small posterior tilt. And I want to make sure when Jason tilts that he's not going to squeeze his bum, and go ahead and show him what it looks like when you overly squeeze. So now he's lifted up off the ground, but he's really tight back here. So the pressure can't go down into the pelvic floor. So all he's going to do is exhale to start that tilt, because the tilt actually comes from the rib cage too. And then just a gentle tuck under, and he's going to drag down the wall with his heels to get his hamstrings on board without his glutes being overactive. So he's got nice soft glutes here. He's got good tension in these proximal hamstrings, and that's where we want to start our breathing. So once we're here, I'm going to coach him to take an inhale and tilt his chin up just ever so slightly to open his airway. And then on the exhale, long, gentle sign exhale out. We can feel those ribs come down as he exhales. And I'm going to coach him to keep a little tension in these lower abdominals as he takes another inhale in. He can slowly release that tension as he continues to inhale. But in the beginning, I want him to keep that consistent tension so that the pressure has to go elsewhere. Job. So one thing I want to note, if you have someone that is already in a posterior pelvic tilt, maybe they're a sway back presentation or they just tend to clench their glutes a lot, I may coach for that person to leave their hips on the ground, exhale through the rib cage so they have that back contact and they're pulling down the wall, but not tucking under and lifting the hips up off the floor. So he's just going to gently pull down. He's still got good contraction of these proximal hamstrings, but if you are a person that tends to over tuck, this can guard you against that happening so that you can still get the benefits of the exercise without producing any other compensations. So once you've got the form down, give me 5 to 10 breaths and repeat that for 3 to 5 sets.